And we're going to take our first caller.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you very much for taking my call, Alderman. I want to know, we've heard a lot about violence, and I feel like we've recently heard a lot of people pose more jobs as a solution and tout things like Walmart or what have you coming into the community as a solution. So I guess I'm curious to know if you think the steps that are being taken are steps that are actually going to solve the problem, and if not, what other types of steps do you think need to be taken in order to get our communities back on track?
That's a great question. I think Walmart is not the panacea for fixing our problems in Chicago. It does add jobs, but we need to find a lot of other long-term sustainable jobs and create a new manufacturing base, which I believe can be done through alternative technologies. That's a small portion of what we're talking about here today, which is the prevention concept, getting people into jobs. But we also need to refocus this entire city and get everyone focused on what we need to do to move forward to have a better life for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. And we don't have that focus right now. And what I think we can do is look at how we work with the police department, make it a better police department, how we get more police officers on the street, working with the community. That's that enforcement aspect of it. But they can't do it alone, and we can't do it alone. So it has to be a balanced approach. And I think Cy might have a few things he'd like to say to that as well.
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to point out, and I read about it in the Sun-Times recently, they talked about culture. And if we look at where most of the crimes are occurring, in the African-American community, we have to look at the culture. In some of the poorest neighborhoods, 60636 zip code, West Inglewood, over $26,000 will be spent on the lottery tonight by 9 o'clock. That's $13 million a year. And so when people say it's about jobs, that's a part of it. But the money is in some of the poorest neighborhoods. It's the culture. It's what people value. It's what I would do to get the money. And we have to hold them accountable. That's the enforcement side, that just because you're poor don't mean you have to commit crimes. I grew up poor in Cabrini Green, and we didn't even know we were poor until TV started showing us all the rich people. But just because you're poor don't mean you have to kill, rob, and steal. We have to call people out on that.
Why don't we talk a little bit about things that you're doing as well on one of your sites, and that's Facebook. I think we don't have it up there, but if you want to check out what he's doing, look at Syron Smith on Facebook and just type in SYRON SMITH, SYRON SMITH, and check out what they're doing on Facebook in terms of the National Black Club University. And I think it's one tool that we can utilize to really help the community. There's a lot of other programs out there, but I think this one is something that would be interesting to take a look at and for people to get involved in and with their community.
You know, Alderman, we have once a month we travel to different cities, and so we're on our way to Washington, D.C. Every August we take the young teenagers from Chicago to Washington, D.C., and these are road trips. I cannot tell you, some of our young people haven't even been downtown Chicago. So just imagine being on the road, seeing cows and horses and whatnot. But these are life-changing experiences, and that's part of the prevention part, exposing them to something else, So that's one of the things that we do, and I think we need to increase it.
Well, why don't we take another caller and see what they have to say?
Hello?
Caller, go ahead. Go ahead.
My question is about the current gun laws and how they're still restricting the Chicago people from protecting themselves. I understand the policies that you have where, you cannot leave your property. That's understandable, but there's got to be something else that could be done for the legal people that can go through the classes to get a concealed carry permit to protect themselves properly.
It's a good question. I think one thing that we had a recently done ordinance, or a new ordinance passed at the city council. It was very interesting because, again, it was kind of like the parking meters. It was rushed through. We've already seen problems with it, and I think it's going to see a challenge almost immediately in the Supreme Court again because they didn't look at the very detailed issues that might come up with it in terms of where you can carry that weapon out to your garage. No, you can't in this new one. It's a very difficult question. to answer, and based on the information that we get from the mayor's office, it looks like it might be a question up for grabs again with the Supreme Court. So it looks like we're going to be waiting to hear back from them, like we have on the previous one.